it's not. There it is. All right. Hello. Welcome, everyone. So we are here today. We're going to learn a little bit about Lovable and how to go to Vercel. So how this originated is on day 22 of the 30 Days of AI from 100 School. They have an awesome demo or how to create a Lovable page from your LinkedIn account. So I created it. I thought this was awesome, and quite a few other people did as well. But then the next step is how do we take that page that we built on Lovable and actually create a real website out of it? Now, I know you can do that with Lovable, but it's just not the same, and you can't modify it as easy as you can with the tool like Vercel, and there's a lot of other ones. So we just went with Vercel specifically for a few different reasons that Damon's going to be going over. So at this point, I did want to introduce Damon. So Damon and I actually know each other from Innovating with AI. It's a group run by Rob Howard and based out of here in Denver. So we've been working together for quite a few months, just chatting, seeing what we can do, how we can help each other. But essentially, he is also an AI consultant, and Damon helps small to medium-sized businesses specifically with AI. So, AI audits, how they can help, voice agents, so whatever it might be. So Damon can work on a lot of different things. So we're excited to have him today, go over how he actually did this. So the genesis of the conversation is basically I was chatting with Damon. He was telling me a little bit about his website after the Tiago call. So if you guys haven't listened to the Tiago call where he goes into detail on how he created his website to be AEO optimized, and he's still getting a lot of leads from that, which is pretty awesome. So what we did with there is I talked with Damon, and he was like, yeah, I just moved my website over from Vercel. It wasn't very complicated. It was kind of easy. Now I know a lot of people can do that themselves or try to figure it out themselves. But I figured hey, let's have a webinar. Let's discuss exactly how you did it. And so I invited him here. And, that's why we're all here today to discuss this. And, at this point, I pass over to Damon to introduce himself if anything that I missed and get started. So thanks, Damon. I really appreciate you being here, man.
All right. Yeah, great. Hi, everyone. Let me see if I can, step one, if I can actually share my screen here. Do this one. That. All right. Can you see me?
Yep. There we go. We see the deck. We see the Gamma deck.
Good. So I think it'll be, and if I kind of do this, can you see can you see the Lovable?
Yeah.
Okay, yep. Good. Perfect. That's what I wanted. All right. So yeah, as Dan said, we're going to build and launch a website without code using I'm using ChatGPT, Vercel, and Lovable for this. And I forget how many people here have also done the 30 Days of AI. Is that most people or just a few or nobody?
Have you guys done it? You want to drop a 1 in the chat?
Or you can raise your hand, you put your hand up.
Yeah, just drop a 1 or something. If we did it. Yeah, Scott.
Okay. So yeah. I will repeat some stuff, but it is modifying a lot of that stuff. So we'll kind of go through it a little bit there. So all right. So a little bit about me first. I'm Damon. I'm pretty tall. You can see from this picture that I'm pretty handsome, but I'm not technical. So the whole idea of this thing is to kind of take somebody who has maybe not that much of a technical background, and you can still do things like this. Just you don't really need to know how to do the things. You just need to know what to do, and then the AI tools can help you actually make the things happen. All right. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to plan the website in ChatGPT and then build it in Lovable and then store it in GitHub and then deploy it in Vercel. And so a lot of these things, if you kind of think of these high level, the tools are really interchangeable. So if you, instead of ChatGPT, if you wanted to use Claude or Gemini or something else, you could use whatever LLM you wanted. If you didn't like Lovable and you like Replit or Bolt or even Claude Code or something like that, you could do that. And then GitHub's a pretty standard sort of storage place for storage repository for code. You could use that, but there's other ones you could use as well. And then if you didn't want to host it on Vercel, just a whatever kind of hosting platform. So think of this not so much as just being so prescriptive of this tool and this tool and this tool and this tool. It's like this kind of tool to this kind of tool to this kind of tool, and you can kind of change from there. All right. So did I skip anything? Nope. All right, so step one, so we're going to plan everything in ChatGPT. And it's kind of thinking like I'm not technical, but I have been in like the web development world before, more as like a project manager or a product manager. And kind of the thing that you're going to do there, if you're going to have your development team start a project, is you're going to start with like a product requirements document. Like, what are all the things that you want to be in this thing, so that you have something to hand over to the team so they can be successful in building it. And so that's kind of what the first step here is, kind of figuring out like, all right, what do we want to build, and what are the instructions that we should give something to build this for us? And so I started with a prompt that came from the 30 days of AI lesson, and I just modified it for myself. So the original one is, as Dan was saying, was you could export your LinkedIn profile and kind of turn that really kind of easily into a website with a few things in Lovable. And that was a really nice way to kind of give you the very broad strokes of that. But for me, it didn't really work. Like, my LinkedIn didn't really have what I wanted to do for this website. And I wanted to create a website for my AI consultancy. And I didn't have a lot of detail in that. I had a lot of other things that I had done. So I asked the ChatGPT to basically, I gave it a prompt and asked it to interview me to fill in the gaps that it has. And that's kind of how lots of people use LMs in different ways. Like, I kind of like that way, is that I'll kind of start and just, we will, instead of like a very detailed prompt, I'll start with something a little bit more basic and ask it to interview me to fill in the stuff that it would need to know in order to give me a really good answer. So it doesn't like just make stuff up or just assume things. So we can kind of figure things out that way.
Right.
And it gave me,
sorry, Dave, I'm a big fan of that as well. I do the same thing, like, tell it to do something and then say, ask me 5 questions before you give me an answer, or something along those lines, like ask me a few questions. It really helps give a much better answer. I 100% agree. Sorry, didn't mean to mess up the flow.
And I think also, like, if you can get like generic prompts from people or on like the internet or whatever, and they're never quite right, like they're always like, you want to tailor everything for your thing. So like they might even be like a decent starting point, and then you can kind of like, tailor it down from there. So I asked it to give me like website structure and visual directions at first. So I'm and this is the prompt that I used. So it's basically the same thing here. You can kind of read through that if you like, but the biggest thing is like, before you start, ask me questions. You need to fill in the content. Please ask one question at a time and tell me when you have enough info to start. And that's another thing I like to do, is like, I like to make sure it does it one at a time. So it's a little bit more like a conversation, and you can kind of like really kind of go back and forth on a point before you get to the next one, versus just having a list of like 5, 10, 15 questions that it's going to have you answer. And so it asked me stuff like, how do you want visitors to feel when they land on your site? What's the primary audience? What's your main conversion goal? What kind of services do you want to highlight? Things like that. And I put it in, and then the output, it gave me, website structure recommendations. Said, all right, you're going to have your home section, and this is some things that are going to be in here. This is what I do, and this is what we're going to include in this section, about, so on and so forth. And then you can kind of go back and forth a little bit on that until you get like the structure the way you want there. And then the next thing I did was I took each one of these sections here, and then I wanted to build out the content for that. And I find it best to kind of go like, I would go section by section. So I would say like, okay, we're going to do the what I do section, and it would give me some ideas or give me some content, and then I would probably change it, and then we'd go back and forth a bit, and then move to the next section. And I felt that kind of gave me the best results there. And so now we have a structure, the structure we want to use, and we have the content. And so now what we want it to do is we want ChatGPT to build a prompt. And the prompt is going to go into Lovable. And one of the reasons we're going to do this is Lovable. So I'm going to just speak specifically about Lovable because that's the one I know the most. But it has, you use like 5 credits per day on the free plan. And even if you don't, like the credits, the credits can kind of go kind of quickly anyway. So it's good to sort of plan everything out that you want to do in an LLM that you're already using, and kind of get your back and forth there, and just really kind of have your prompts ready to do the stuff there. So it's a little bit of a forcing function to make you more efficient and to make you plan things out ahead of time. So what we're going to do there is going to have like the build the content. We did that. Okay. So yeah.
Real quick, Damon, I think we have a question from Scott. Scott, did you have a question?
Sure.
No, I just clicked that hand
to
raise my hand for the 100 school question before.
Oh, from before.
I thought I was raising my hand. I didn't know I was asking a question. I don't.
I did ask you to raise your hand before.
Yeah.
Let me undo that.
Yeah.
Oh, good. No worries. Okay.
All right. Sorry.
Cool.
Okay. And so this is it gave me the prompt here with all the sections very kind of detailed of what to do. And so this is essentially like my product requirements document that I'm giving to Lovable. And so if we kind of go into Lovable here, people have seen it before. I'll just put it on the code, or the code you can see here. I started this project. So this is the prompt, and you can see I put the prompt in here. Really big paste one, and then it kind of figured out a bunch of stuff and then created the preview and told me some things that it did. And then I say, hey, the preview's not working, so it checked a few things and got it working for me. All right, so go into the next. So yeah, so when you're building with Lovable, like I said, you're going to paste that in, do your initial build, and then customize it. So having your see the things that you want to have changed, iterate it a little bit, and then kind of polish it up. And I think it is still quite I think it's still quite useful to do a lot of your planning still in ChatGPT to say hey, this isn't working. How can I tell it how to what should I tell it to do? And then kind of figuring out, kind of iterate on that, going back and forth, or adding which components and stuff that you want to do. And even taking screenshots in and just saying, hey, this looks weird. How do I tell it to not make it look weird? And the polishing, getting even ideas of stuff that you might want to add. So yeah, I did some stuff fix the spacing, layout adjustments, logos, and things like that. So if I kind of go through here, I said, hey, I'm in Portland, Oregon. So I was wanted the hero image to be an Oregon forest instead of a weird, just an office room or something. And then I had, for the hero section, I had a bunch of, I wanted the calendars to go in a certain way. And I think, where is it? I had, at one point, this might be it, I had all the logos. So on the site here, I had it had just a placeholder image of me. So I was hey, here, you use this real image. And then I added some new, there were just fake testimonials. I added some real ones, and then I had brands that I had worked with before. And so it just gave me some fake one, or just kind of made up the logos or whatever. And so then I went and found the real one, and then it just sort of, you get to it, and it just makes everything look nice, which is lovely. And then our next day, so next, you kind of get everything going back and forth, how you like it. And, you can kind of be in here and say, hey, all right, this is the site that I like. I'm ready to push this live. And you can publish it from here. And as you say, you'll get something that says Damon AI at lovable.app. And for a lot of things, that's going to be fine. But if you want something no, I want something, this to be my website. I want it to have a special URL. And you can even, you can pay more for Lovable and purchase a URL that way too. But then you're kind of you're tied into Lovable there. And there's often problems with people wanting to change their, you want to get off of Lovable and move to something else. Sometimes it can get a little tricky when you purchased your URL from one place and you want to move to something else. So this kind of helps you decouple from that, from whatever tool you're using. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the code that you have here and then push it to GitHub. And GitHub is essentially like a storage locker for your code. And so it's going to take all the code from Lovable and make a copy of it in GitHub. And then so now you have something that lives in the cloud, and you can either like go and change the code yourself if you want. You can pull it into another tool and edit it yourself. You could even like pull it into like Bolt or Replit or something else and edit it there. I don't know how good an idea that is, because I think a lot of times they have different coding styles and you could end up with a real mishmash of stuff, but I think you could technically do it. And you can also then push it to whatever hosting platform you want. And so we're going to kind of go and like, so part of the things there why Lovable makes it really easy. It's a one-click export, and I'll go over and I'll show you where you can do that. And then it syncs automatically. So when you have Lovable talking to GitHub, if I make a change in the Lovable, it's automatically going to replicate to GitHub. And if I go into GitHub or something else and make a change, it's also going to replicate that to Lovable. So you'll always sort of be in sync that way. Yeah, and again, like there's no coding required for this. So essentially all you do in here is here, and I am connected. If I wasn't connected, it would ask me to connect, and you just have to either if you either log into your GitHub or just create an account pretty easily, like just like almost any of the things you can just like use your Google address or things like that and just sort of make a GitHub account. It is free too. So if I click this, it's going to just take me to my repository here. And so I can see it's calling it my showcase or whatever. That's the name it decided to give it. And then this is just all the code that's in here. And so you can kind of go to any of these things and you can see the code, and you can actually go in and you can edit it if you want as well. All right.
This is also not technical. You said this was not technical.
I know it is. I mean, it's but you could do that. I mean, you can do that if you like. You don't have to. So the and it depends on kind of like, I am not tech, but I'm kind of like a little bit more like I will try things out, and it would kind of, if I could get it to like there were a couple things where I just needed to make a tiny change, and I could ask ChatGPT how to walk me through like what exactly do I change in there. So I didn't want to go to level with like maybe change like a sentence or something like that. I just want to like, oh, there needs to be a period here. Like, can I just add it? And then so I don't want to waste a credit on that. I'll just go and do that. Mm-hmm. All right, so now we built in Lovable, we're stored in GitHub, and now we want to host this thing. And I chose Vercel. I chose Vercel mostly because it had a free tier that I could use, and like this would fit into this all right. So kind of decided to do that. There's other options you can do, but in this one you open an account in Vercel, add a new project, and deploy. And so if I go to Vercel here, you would go, am I in Vercel? Yes, I am. Oh, add new, and then project. And then because it is connected to your GitHub, you would connect it here and just find the one that you want here to import. So that's another thing that you would just import your, connect your Vercel to GitHub when you sign up for the account there. And so now you're just kind of importing that. And once I've done that, it creates a project for me. It's going to look like this. And I'm going to show you kind of the sort of the last bit here, which is now if I have this here, I could launch it and it would say Damon AI Showcase.vercel.app, but that's not what I want it to be. I want it to be this custom URL that I've already purchased. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add the the domains in Vercel so it knows what it should be. And then we have to go to the place where we purchased the URL and say, hey, go into the DNS settings and say, hey, tell this to look over here when somebody goes to damonai.com. And so, yeah, so we're going to add the domain here, and then there's basically two records. You have your A record and your CNAME thing. And it's not like, again, it's not hard because I can do it. So I am the proof that it is not particularly hard, even when it seems a little bit more complicated. So we are going to go into Vercel, and you're going to go into oops, not to that. That's not what I want. Where is okay, my deployments. Oh, and where's the thing I have to add?
Is it the site?
No, it would be here, just in my project settings. Sorry. So I picked a project and then my settings, and then you're going to go into your domains. And what you're going to do here is you can buy your domain through Vercel, but then again, like you're sort of a little bit more tied to Vercel, so you can do that here too. It's another convenience thing. Or you can add an existing one. And so I added mine here. And so if you edit here, this one, I said, okay, this is, that's the redirect one. Oh, every time you do that, you push the other thing. And then this is my production one. So when it goes to www.damonai.com, that is like my main URL. And if it goes to these other ones, it's going to redirect to that. And so then what you're going to need to do is find your tell Namecheap where I bought the URL. It's like once somebody hits this thing, now where does it go? And so you go into your the place where you buy it and find your domain, and then go to your DNS settings. And there's two settings that you're going to want to. And this one is saying like, okay, this is the IP address that it goes to. That's the A record, and then the CNAME is just kind of like, all right, once it's there, where does it go? And so these are things that you're going to get from Vercel. And you're telling it when somebody hits this, go here. And Vercel is going to tell you where to go. And the way that you do that is if we add an existing one. So let's say I had Damon is awesome.com, and I wanted that one to pick there. So that one, I can say, all right, this is going to be that, and that's going to be a redirect, and it's going to redirect to here. And so I said save, and then you're going to see it adds these two things. It says invalid configuration. So this looks like an error message because it's all red and scary, but it's actually fairly useful. It's saying like, okay, this is what your A record is. You need to copy that. And then this is what your CNAME is, and you need to copy that. And so then you go here and put your A record there and your CNAME right here for that. And then once you do that, you'll like wait like 15 minutes or so, and then if you hit like refresh, it will eventually, the error record will go away. So all this is saying is like, this is telling me like which URL to use, but it's not hooked up to anything. And so once it's hooked up, it will tell you. Okay. And so just again, this sort of high level repeatable process is sort of plan things in ChatGPT or whatever LLM you like to use. And then at the output of that is get it to write a prompt for whatever tool you're going to be using. And then that tool, Vibe Coding Lovable, will build the site for you. And you go in and you can use ChatGPT to help refine it, to figure out what the errors are and what are things you want to add to it, and then export it to GitHub. and then deploy it onto Vercel, and then add your custom domain so that it points to the right place. And then I believe that is my final question, and we can kind of see the final website that I built here. So I had kind of gone originally to when I wanted to make a site, I went to like Squarespace and other things like that. And you can oftentimes with those, I find that you find things that are kind of what you want, but not exactly. It's like, oh, I kind of like this, but it doesn't really have the sections, and I kind of want a mixture of a couple different things. And so I was just kind of, well, I wonder if I could just actually vibe code this thing myself. And it ended up being like I could actually do this in, probably less time than it would take me to just use their template and make the site myself. And I think you can, like, when you start to see other sites like this, like sometimes they tend to follow a little bit of a pattern, and sometimes you can see like, oh yeah, I can tell they probably made that with Lovable or with one of these other things. But you could actually, if you had a website design and like had it, you kind of put that in with your PRD, like it would be able to kind of create like whatever sort of design that you wanted. So I have this section here, and then what do I do? So I do trainings, and then I can do strategy, and I can do some automations, and then everything learn more is sort of pointing down to like booking a 20-minute call. And so that's sort of the focus of the site is like, all right, the main thing I want you to do here is like reach out to me if you're on this site. Either get your questions answered or reach out to me. I put in some kind of client success stories and things that I have here, a little bit about me, a couple testimonials, brands I've worked with, and stuff like that. And so that is what I made.
Awesome. So quick question for you. If somebody wanted to make changes to the website, would they do that in Vercel, or would they do that in Lovable, or like GitHub, or maybe all three, depending on the change that they wanted to make? What are your thoughts?
I would say I think you actually could do it. You probably could do it in Vercel too, but the answer is at least the other two. So you can like go through and you can make a change to your website in Lovable, and it will push to GitHub, and that will then talk to Vercel, and it'll just go live. And you don't really need to, once you've sort of committed your change, that'll happen. And I know for sure that if you go into GitHub and like make a little change there, it'll go and replicate. Because one of the things I had to do also is add analytics to it, and that one was like the more technical in that like I actually had to get into the code where it said like, hey, you need to add this snippet of code here, and like find this folder, find this file, and then edit it. And I kind of like, I put it in there, I committed, I crossed my fingers that nothing broke, and it went through, and everything went out pretty good. So.
All right. Is there a way before you deploy, can you like test it in a sandbox? So let's say, like you were saying, like you hope that it wouldn't break. So let's say something happened, like you had your site, it was live, you wanted to add a new piece of code, let's say like, just a small JavaScript code snippet for whatever reason. And then, okay, you put it on there and it broke everything. So is there a way to test it out? So like put it somewhere in an environment? Would you like copy the website, or is there?
I think you could do that, or you could figure out how to do it so that it's not like, I think you can set things up more advanced so that they're not automatically pushing.
Okay.
But the thing that you can't, the sort of like the thing that kind of helps with that is you can roll things back. Like it's like, okay, let's go back to the previous version of it. So there's version control in GitHub. That's one of the nice things. Like, oh, that broke, I'm going in. Like, yeah, it's not really best practice to sort of like make a bunch of changes in production, but something like this is a very small scale, and so it doesn't matter. That's like, oh, if it goes down, I can get it back in like a couple minutes. Like that's fine for me. I don't need to have like a dedicated like pre-production server or anything like that.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Yeah. Sounds great. Cool. Anybody else have any questions? I mean, we ended a little early, so here we go. All right. So we got one from Melissa. So what happens when you click the button to schedule a call on the live site? What did you connect that to, and where did you connect that? Like Lovable. So yeah. So like the second page. So you got the first page, like the main landing page. So now, like, what's the next step? Like the book a call page.
Yeah. Here, maybe we'll just I will just share again. Okay, and if you hit this, oh, it is, I did not share it right. Here, I'll stop sharing and I will share the window. So if you hit book a 20-minute call, it opens up my Google Calendar. And you can
Oh, so it just goes straight to your Google Calendar.
yeah,
Okay.
and there's that feature. It could basically, I think the default is it had it going to Calendly, and
Okay.
I was like, oh, I'll just have it go to like and Google. If you have your calendar and stuff with Google, like there is essentially an interface that you can do that's basically just like a Calendly. So you just go through and do that.
Yeah. Got it. So Melissa, are you interested in doing like a website that has a calendar link, like where people can build in there, or what are you thinking?
I was just curious about how it. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
Sometimes when I have the earbuds, the mic doesn't work. Yeah, I was just curious about making it connect, and then is that something that you just go into whatever GitHub and like you add the link, or did you have ChatGPT help you like figure out where to put that?
Yeah, it's one I had, like, it was part of my, when I was sort of iterating in Lovable, that the first thing was a Calendly one. It's like, well, that's when I went to ChatGPT. It's like, oh, it put Calendly, but I want to use like my Google link. And then once you have it, you have like a little, it's like, what do I need? And it says like, all right, generate this thing. And then once I had that, it would help me like make the prompt so I could tell it what to do. It's like, hey, change it from Calendly to a Google one and use this calendar.
Gotcha.
Okay. And along on that same side, and then we'll go to you, Alfredo. What I've done, pretty much the same thing, like in Lovable. So if I wanted to change a link, or if like the link didn't go anywhere in Lovable, I just tell Lovable, I want you to make the schedule now button towards the bottom this new link, and then I drop the link, and then I just tell Lovable, and it's done.
Yep.
So
that's another way you can do it too. It's just how much you want. And I think after you've used Lovable a little bit more, you can sometimes you can kind of wing it yourself a little bit more, just saying like, oh, okay, I need this one thing. I know how to tell it what to do this thing. It's just, for me, a lot of the using ChatGPT is just, it's like, one, it's another set of like making sure what I'm asking makes sense and I have all the elements there. And then two, just preserving the credits so that like I get as much bang for every buck. And like sometimes I will, like I'll save up like 2 or 3 things that I want it to do and say like, all right, maybe a prompt to like do these 2 or 3 things and then put that one thing in. And I think this took me like maybe 3 days to make the site, but that's only because I did the first one, I ran out of credits, and then I waited for the next day and then just did a couple more things with the credits. And then, it didn't take like that many, like maybe just like a couple hours, but I spread over like a few days that way.
Yeah. And with ChatGPT, so what I do, I'm actually using the Atlas browser, so ChatGPT's browser, for only a couple things. So I like it when I'm building in Lovable, I have the Atlas browser open on the side. So I use the Atlas browser. So as I'm asking ChatGPT questions, it knows the exact context based on the website. And I've been using the Gemini because Gemini started doing that too. Like if you use Chrome, like you can see it. So I'm using both of them every day. And I notice that the ChatGPT Atlas browser understands the context much, much better than Gemini does. And that's just for this one specific thing. Normally, I like Gemini for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But when you are using the browsers, the tools in the browsers to look at the site, I like Atlas's a lot more than Gemini's. And that's just me, testing and using it every day. So just my 2 cents on that.
That's interesting. I haven't done that with like the coding tools, but I do, like I will use Gemini if I'm in a spreadsheet, and like you can ask it to understand the spreadsheet or even write a form. Like the main use case is like, hey, I need a formula for this one. Like this is like, here, I don't understand. Like I was kind of looking at this very complicated spreadsheet that had like all these different tabs, and there's one thing that was kind of broken, and I could ask it like, hey, I want something that will do this, but like for in these parameters, and it was good at giving me a thing, and it worked right away. So it's another. Those are really great. Those are really powerful. Those ones that are just right in the browser like that.
Yep, 100%. So if you're not using them, use them. All right, Alfredo, what's up? You have a question?
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Once the website's live, do you still need to keep the Lovable account open, or can you close it, like, or do away with the account and just do all your changes on GitHub?
I mean, I think you could. I still have mine in there. Like, I'm not really doing anything anymore unless I need to like make an update to the site. And if it's just a free account, it doesn't really matter that much.
Right.
You can kind of keep it there. But I think like I said, like you probably could connect it up that repository to another account, like another type of like if another tool that you wanted to use instead. You could do that. I don't know exactly how that would work, but in theory, that's like you could do that.
Okay.
Are you just not wanting to pay for Lovable, or what's?
No, just curious, just in case, like if you want to use another tool, like I don't know, I was just thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Just.
But you could have like, I mean, within one project, it might be a little weird to have the same repository, the two different tools, and kind of changing different things in different places. But you would have. It would be pretty common, I think, to have your GitHub with different repositories that are pointed to different tools. If you're like, you may have like, hey, I was into like Lovable for a while, and then I switched and I like Replit more, and I was doing some stuff there, and then I also did like some Claude Code stuff, and they might all point to. You might keep all the code there in repositories in GitHub.
Gotcha.
All right. Awesome. Cool. Any other questions, Damon? No, we're good.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. This was it was fun.
Awesome. Well, cool. Thank you all for attending, and hopefully you learned something. I mean, did we learn something? Anyone? Yes? No? Hopefully this was not a waste of your time.
That was good.
No, it was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're good. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you very much for attending and joining, and glad that everyone here learned something. And if you're watching on the recording, hope you learned something as well. You can pause it and go back and see what he said. But for this, I guess, yeah, we'll just leave a little early today. No reason to stick around. So thank you all for joining and attending, and happily see you on the next one. And it looks like we have a premiere call tomorrow, so a couple of you here. So I'll see you tomorrow on that call. All right, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.